Okay, we are live, and this is exciting again because last week we really had a global audience as well as panelists. And right now, I'm Mary Alice Curran. I am here in the United States in Connecticut, and I am joined by two incredible colleagues. Where to let us know, where are you located from?
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
Where to let us know, where are you located from?
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm from Mexico. I'm Eugenia Mes from Mexico. Oh, hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. What's going on? I'm Eugenia Mes from Mexico. Oh.
Okay, somebody has the YouTube open, that page open. One of us does. Okay, somebody has the YouTube. So check your tabs.
It's not me.
It was me. So can we start it again?
Well, we're live, and this is the beauty of being live. So you keep going, my friend.
Love that.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm sure that we are alive now. And I'm so happy to be here. And what an amazing way to start my day with Mary Alice and with Jarvis, that he's joining us from the UK with an amazing topic that I absolutely love for schools.
Yeah, so
thank you.
I'm so happy. This is not my first time having the opportunity to speak with you, but anytime that I do, I am so happy. Like I walk away and my entire being is, I'm just happy. And I'm thrilled that you're joining us because the focus, we're getting ready for a big event in October around digital citizenship, which is our big theme about use tech for good, and the SDGs. And we love this combination. It's a winning combination. Last week, we had Leanne Lavender join us from Canada talking about storytelling. And I can't think of a better SDG story than your story, Jarvis. And so to have you join us today, last week we kind of like rolled out this idea of what we're going to be doing in October, and we're going to be bringing back our impact talks. And our impact talk is our version of, like, I guess, a TED talk or an Ignite talk. The focus is around how are you making an impact in a local, global, and digital community. And so we thought today we could like ask you to tell your impact story, because this is a story that should be told in every single classroom to inspire our young people to want to like take up arms and make a difference like you are. So we'll let you take it away from here.
Well, that's very kind. It's a beautiful introduction. Thank you both. It's really nice to be connected. Just to answer your first question, I am in the UK, but I'm also in the north of Yorkshire, which is right at the top in the most beautiful part of northern England. So that's where I am. So, gosh, where do I start? So in 2006, I was sitting at my desk. I was just working away for an advertising stroke publishing company. I got a call, I answered the phone, and it was Channel 4 on the phone. And they said, Jarvis, we're making a TV show. I can't tell you what it's about. It's going to be a really extreme environment. I'm going to ask you to be on the show. I said, okay, is it Big Brother? And they're like, no. I said, good, because I would not do Big Brother. And they said, no, it's actually to highlight some of the issues around what we now know is called climate crisis, or the climate change issue that we have on our doorstep. So, of course, I was like, yeah, this sounds amazing. And a few months passed, and I had to go through various trials and tribulations and get some injections done and, all kind of things, that thinking we're flying off to some amazing country, to the desert or to the poles or to Borneo or something like that. And it turned out that we ended up being staying in an airport the night, staying in a hotel in the airport the night before, thinking we're flying off to this amazing place. They put us on a blacked out coach, drove around for a few hours, and they arrived at a landfill. And this is a real live landfill where all of our rubbish gets sent to, or certainly did back in 2006. And we had to, the show was called Dumped. It was for Channel 4. We had to literally get dumped into this environment. And we had nowhere to sleep, nowhere to eat, nowhere to cook our food, nowhere to shower, nowhere to go to the toilet. And we had to create an environment. There were 10 of us all together. Actually, there were 11, but one person left very quickly. And we had to create an environment that we could sustain life for 3 weeks built from other people's rubbish. So as you can imagine, it was disgusting in terms of smell. I mean, it took me 3 nights to even be able to sleep because the smell was so rancid. And actually, it had a huge impact on me. And I tell you why. It had not been that long before that the planet had first experienced some very serious natural disasters. There was and you may remember this, there was the tsunami that killed hundreds of thousands of people in India and Thailand. You may remember that. And then just after that, there was the New Orleans disaster, which again was another natural disaster. And that killed, or certainly relocated a lot of people, damaged their homes and the environment through, again, a natural disaster. So I looked at this situation thinking, well, actually, this has happened to people and could happen to us at any time. I mean, yes, we live in the UK, which is a relatively safe country, but it could happen to anybody. So I embraced this experience in exactly the same way as one would if you were actually put into that situation through a natural cause. And it had a huge impact on me. And one of the most significant changes to the way I live today happened during those 3 weeks. And it was actually this. In the 3rd week of us being on this, living on this landfill, and remember, there were people all around the world that live on landfills, in India, in Kenya, in many other places in Africa. And they've actually created, built cities in that environment and actually make them completely sustainably functioning environments to work from. So Dharavi is a really important one if any of the children want to look at that in Mumbai. But I'm digressing a bit. So there was this in the 3rd week of us living and building somewhere to sleep, and a shelter and a shower, solar powered shower, and a kitchen to cook our food and things like that. The local refuge truck, or the dustbin truck as we call them in the UK, went around the local streets collecting the rubbish as it does, brought it to the landfill, dumped all of the days or the weeks, if you like, collection on our site. Now, by this time, it was our home, right? So it was like, this was a horrible experience. And we had to put on some protective clothing. So the mask that we've been wearing through the pandemic, protective gloves, overalls, the whole thing. We had to start siphoning through this stuff. And we had to decide what had to go to landfill, what could be recycled, and what could be composted. So there were 3 bins. So diligently, we were going through this stuff, putting glass bottles into recycling and plastic into the landfill one, and thinking we were getting this right. After about 20 minutes, it was literally to the 20th minute, I began to feel toxic, sick, headachy, nauseous, like just the worst feeling that I could have. Really felt quite ill. Now, because I had some what I describe as shamanic training, because I had some experiences of releasing energy and replenishing myself through various practices that I'd been engaged in, breathing, yoga, that kind of stuff, I said to Camera, I can't do this. I feel sick. I'm gonna go and lie down on the earth. I'm gonna release this toxicity and cleanse myself, and then I'll come back. So I laid down on the earth and I started to breathe heavily, which is part of the practice, just to release any toxicity in my system. And then what I do, once I feel empty, I then breathe up and take this huge deep breath from the earth and try and replenish myself. So I took this deep breath and I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. I got this shock experience, kind of like an epiphany awakening. And I heard these words: how you are feeling now is how I feel. I need your help to tell the world. And I felt like I had been spoken to by the planet, by Gaia, by the earth, by this living, conscious, breathing being that sustains life for every animal and bird and human being on the planet. And I cried because it was such a wake-up call moment. I committed to Camera that I would dedicate my life's work to educating, inspiring, informing, poking and prodding people to wake up to the way that we were living on the planet was actually killing our planet and potentially us, and potentially killing everything for our future generations. So that was in 2006. The show aired in 2007. we're now in 2022, and I've gone on to, I guess, leave a legacy, if you like, about educating people. So post that, I launched National Geographic Green, the world's biggest ethical lifestyle magazine. I then went on to produce a magazine with the Guardian newspaper called Green, and we now run this company called My Green Pod and mygreenpod.com. And I also run the country's leading sustainability awards, which is actually an international awards that honors people that are climate champions in community, activists, influencers, business people in all sectors across all bandwidths. We even have a greenest family category. And actually that awards nominations just closed, but we are open now for entries next year. So I've gone on to become now a thought leader. I'm seen as a pioneer. I run a successful ethical business. And if calculations and scientists' information is correct, then we have just a couple of years to be able to peak our emissions. And then we need to decline the fossil fuels usage and carbon emissions output by 45% from there to reach our target by 2030. So that's how much time we have to turn things around. And every single one of us, young, old, black, white, male, female, part of the opportunity to be a solution. And that's what I feel we all need to take responsibility in any way, shape or form that we can. So I hope that that has given you a bit of an insight to that experience.
Okay, that was just absolutely wonderful. And our focus, I mean, I just love your story. But it really is a great model for this upcoming October, that we want to have young people tell their stories, because young people are just as passionate. They are doing incredible things. And so, identifying real problems that are connected to the global goals, and telling that story about, your why, your purpose. And in doing so, it inspires and empowers others to say, I can do something similar in my community. So your story, I know that we've talked about this before. I feel like it, is that children's book that, at some point, I know how busy you are, but really needs to be a children's book, and that story that inspires classrooms literally around the world. So I know our focus today is that school edition. So, the school year has just kicked off for many around the world. What are some ways that classrooms can start to, not just talk about it, but put things into action? Hueni and I would love to hear some possible ways. I know, in fact, I wanted to put on, we've got Canada joining us this morning, our good
Yeah.
friend Julie Bennett.
Hello, Julie. Welcome. Well, so look, I mean, the first thing I must say is, I started my journey, and it really gave me a purpose. That moment defined my purpose, and I still live that to the best of my ability today. The difference is now I'm much wiser and I've got loads more connections. So I'll just share this with you all, that over the last year, I've been working with Greta Thunberg and the Fridays for Futures movement. With Fridays for Futures MAPA. So those of you that don't know what MAPA is, it's the most affected people and areas. There's lots of young people that I've been working with. One in particular, a lady called, a young girl actually, called Ramina Paulette, who is based in Africa. And she was still at school when we met. She's just graduated from school and will be going to college actually, very, very, very soon. So I've got my own children. I've got a deep connection with young people. I've got 5 children. So the only reason I do the work that I do is actually for my kids. So what can young people do, or what can school children do? Well, actually, I don't want to be the old person patronizing young people. I think our young people today know the issues. Why? Because they're born into the news and the noise and the understanding and an educational system that thankfully has included sustainability and ways of living sustainably in the curriculums in most countries around the world, actually. So what I would advise young people to do is to take action in educating your peers, your elders. So your mums and dads, they're the ones that are probably still buying into systems just because that's what they're used to doing, that are not particularly helping things in the short space of time that we need. So I think the young people can go back to their parents and to their uncles and aunts and their, their granddads and grandmas and say, hey, you guys, where are you buying your energy from? Is it 100% renewable? Have you considered investing in solar panels? And have you considered investing in products that we buy on a day-to-day basis? Simple things like toilet paper, because we all need a bit of toilet paper, and toothpaste and deodorants and things like that. Have you considered buying natural products that are plastic free, products that are non-toxic in their ingredients? So that's the first thing I would say is, you young people are our future, and you have an opportunity now to educate us old uns, because we've got it wrong, and we need your hope and inspiration and a bit of energy from you for us to be able to change our habits, because that's the biggest issue right now. So number two, second in the classroom, of course, you can think about some of the materials and supply chains that the school is using. So how is the school buying their energy? Have you got an eco club? Have you got a way that you are, recycling certain things that you're using in the school, or reusing what may already be available rather than buying new stuff? Many of these educational systems are often buying new things in order to give out to the children, whether that's pens or paper or now iPads or, whatever it be. Could you actually ask the school to engage in reusing and repurposing things that are already made, so there isn't a huge carbon impact on things being made from new? Because one of the things that I think everybody forgets when we go to use a product is every single material, and I'll say this twice, comes from nature. Everything. Whether it's energy, whether it's wood for your pencil, whether it's ink for your pen, whether it's the minerals and bits of metal that are in your iPads or your smartphones, it all comes from nature. Now, if you consider that, then it's probably very clear that we have enough materials in our world to be able to upcycle and recycle everything that's already out there to be repurposed and reused. So that is a massive opportunity for us to go, okay, I'm not going to buy this new, I'm going to fix the one that's already broken, or I'm going to buy something secondhand. And there are loads of cool places to do that all across the world. So hopefully there's three quick tips there that might be quite useful.
Okay, this is wonderful. I'm just putting up some of the comments. Yeah, everything comes from nature. And Julie had already jumped on to that idea. You said about having a club at school, a green club at school. I love that. That's an opportunity for our young people to kind of take inventory, right? They're
Yeah.
going to be the leaders in our communities, and they
Yeah.
can kind of do this inventory in their school community, and it has that like intergenerational approach, like
Yeah.
for learning. It doesn't matter how young or old you are, that idea of learning side by side together to really make an impact in your community. I think
Yeah.
this is wonderful. Julie's got another comment for you.
I think
for
the
the
word
tips.
leaders is I think the word leaders is really important, because actually we are taught that leadership is top down. So prime ministers, presidents, royal families, all of that. So we are brought into a system that we think a leader is somebody at the top that dictates or has a say on how everything is. We need to grab that whole concept of leadership and throw it to be recycled, right? Why? Because every single young person is a leader in themselves. They make a decision to go to school. They make a decision to focus on the subjects that they're focusing on. They make a decision who they want to hang out with, what friends they want to be with, what relationships they want to have. So you are all leaders. That's the magic of leadership. You young people are the leaders of the future. And you might only lead yourself. but you are still a leader. You might lead a community, you might lead the whole school, you might lead a country, which would be amazing. But don't ever let anybody tell you that you are not a leader, because just by getting out of bed in the morning and brushing your teeth, you've become a leader.
I want you to know, Jarvis, we have a young leader that is joining us right now from India,
Great.
Namya Joshi, and she is doing incredible things, not just in her school community, but in her country and even beyond her country for the world. And I always look at it as like local, global, and digital. What she does to inspire and empower other young people, she's got a fantastic hashtag about the idea of all it takes is that one person to make that difference. And then that one person then makes that ripple effect. It's each one teach 10 is her hashtag. And she's fantastic. After this, Namya, I want you to know, I will make sure that I get to personally introduce you via email to Jarvis, because I think that there's just wonderful opportunities to continue to really celebrate the incredible things that you do, and you inspire all of us grown-ups. So I'm so glad that you're able to join us live today.
Yeah, hi Namya. I'm just to let you know, my father was born in India. Actually, my father was born in Kenya, but originally was from India, and my grandfather was born in India. So I have Punjab blood running right through my veins.
I think this is wonderful. Well, I know that um, one of the reasons when I got connected to you was during the pandemic. We're all in lockdown. Things are feeling really bleak about a lot of unknowns. And we have this great common denominator, Anthony Doyle in the
Yep,
UK.
yep,
And a big shout out to Anthony for just making the introduction. But
yeah.
he introduced me to Nature TV, and I hook, line, and sink. I was a massive fan. This is how I first met you. So I'm just going to pull this up to our stream. And actually, Namya and Julie, who are joining us today, were part of our Global Impactor Academy during the pandemic. And this is when I introduced Nature TV. But Jarvis, I'd love to hear, like, what was the inspiration behind Nature TV? We'll put the link in the comments as well, because we'd like to actually encourage young people in October as part of our big DigSit SDGs event to stream their like nature, like what does nature in their community look like, and have a add to what you've already done.
Okay, cool. So, as we all know, the whole world in 2020, in March, roughly 2020, went into lockdown. Oh, hello.
We're still here.
Good, good. Okay, great. Somebody called me. I don't know how that happened.
It happens.
It took me off. It took me off the screen. So sincere apologies. I will just mute that quickly to make sure it doesn't happen again. So as we all know, we went into the COVID pandemic, and the whole world was more or less locked down at the same time. It's the first time in as far as I'm aware in human history where we've had a global experience together of cause and effect when it comes to areas, such as the climate crisis. So because everybody was locked down, because everybody was asked to stay at home, some of us were given an hour a day or something to go out. And the first thing people would do was go out and connect with nature. And they would begin to see that nature, with us staying away, was beginning to come back. Animals were coming back into cities, and dolphins were coming back into rivers, and loads of birds. You could suddenly hear birds singing, and this was all around the world. This wasn't just in the UK. And so people began to reconnect with nature in a much more profound and telling way than we've ever experienced in a mass mobilizing way before. So things like the air quality in places like Delhi reduced by 80%. You could see the Himalayas from 30 miles away, which some young people had never, ever experienced or seen. So things like that started to happen. So we started to do a little bit of research. We got a great scientist in and just started to look at the health benefits of nature. And it turned out that from a biophilic perspective, which some of you may want to, you can add that word biophilic, it's essentially mimicking nature. From a biophilic perspective, if you were able to bring nature into your home, even the color green or pictures of trees or something like that, it would have the same effect as if you were walking out in nature. So we thought, well, this is amazing. People are locked in their homes. They're on their screens more than ever. Why don't we record 3 just pieces of nature? So we recorded 2 hours of that rock that you can see right there. Just a camera on it for 2 hours, watching the grass blowing around of just that rock. We also put a camera in a field and just basically just followed the sheep around for 2 hours, and also a river flowing. And we thought we'll put these videos out so that when people are working, they can have nature and the sounds of nature and the visuals of nature right there with them, so that they are enhancing their well-being at the same time as getting on with schoolwork, or or those of us that are working work and Zoom calls and everything else. And so we did that, and we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of people watching the rock or the stream. And actually the rock became our movie star, because actually we did a survey as to which bits of nature people love the most, and the rock was the the ultimate winner. So forget about that other rock that is a movie star. This is the real rock that is now the kind of the social media star.
I just loved it. I was a massive fan from the beginning. I thought it was genius, especially the rock. I thought the idea of like streaming a rock for 2 hours, but bringing nature inside when things were really kind of unsure and bleak.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and that need to really a reminder about reconnecting to nature.
yes,
And
yes,
um, I know that we're looking forward to what that might look like in October as we encourage classrooms to do something. I've always kind of had that vision that if you were to stream, maybe not 2 hours, maybe not professional, right? Just from a device, what nature sounds in your community around the world, it would be that reminder that there are more things that make us the same than make us different. So
yeah,
perhaps your nature might look different than the nature in my backyard, but those commonalities. And I know we're really looking forward to just encouraging classrooms um, to be able to reconnect
yeah,
and
yeah.
bring
Lovely.
nature back into the classroom. And what you had said before about our young people leading that conversation and bringing along the grown-ups, I think that's
Yes.
really what needs to happen.
Yeah, and
So
we decided to take it a step further as well, Marie-Lise, is that when you think about nature, people often think about outside, rivers, streams, the natural world. Yeah, of course you've got nature inside, because sometimes you might have a plant, but there's also the air, there's also the sunlight, there's also the rain. These are all aspects of nature. There's all those animal kingdoms and insect kingdoms and bird kingdoms. But the other thing is, and this gets back to the kind of deeper philosophical side of it, even this jacket that I've got on, or this t-shirt that I'm wearing, or that piece of toast that I've eaten in the morning, is all nature. So you can actually deepen your relationship with nature just by putting on your t-shirt in the morning and going, oh, thank you to those cotton plants for creating this t-shirt that I'm wearing today. And you are actually creating a relationship with the very thing that keeps us alive. Nature. Without nature, we would not be able to eat, we would not be able to breathe, we would not be able to do anything. So to have an co-creative relationship, which is actually a deeply rooted indigenous way of being that every single human being on this planet has deep within their souls, in their DNA, in their spirit. So, and we've just lost our way a little bit. And I think if we can find our way back quickly through nature and through that relationship, nature's miraculous. It could actually change all of the issues around the climate crisis like that. But we have to play our part.
I love
Yeah,
this.
and I think that we need to. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I need that. I think that it's all this mindset that we need to have with joining hand by hand with nature. Like, okay, if I need to have to bring nature to the classroom, what are the students going to do to have more contact with nature? Even if I'm in a school where there's nothing around us, but for example, to bring a rock, to bring a plant, to bring, I don't know, something that might connect and keep us in that mindset
Yeah.
that we need to be connected with nature, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we can actually make every decision based on that connection, then we would become not disconnected in the heavily consumption world that we live in, and reconnected. And then actually we might become, instead of consumers, we might become restorers. How cool would that be?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Juania, will you describe, because I think Jarvis would love it, the classroom virtual exchange around water?
Oh, sure, sure, sure. To give you a background, right here in Monterey, in the northern part of Mexico, we've just experienced one of the hottest summers, and there was a drought. We haven't rain wasn't here for about, I don't know, maybe 8 months or more, one year, and summer was really hard. All the our dams were totally out of water, and we were having this conversation in our city, like how to, because water cuts are every day in every single house. If you go to a restaurant, restaurants needed to close up because there wasn't enough water for everyone.
Wow.
So we are facing a really hard time. And in the meantime, a school from New York connected us on DCI to make classroom connections, and they were looking for a classroom to keep a conversation about how water use, right? What bringing consciousness about how are we using water. And I said, oh, this is perfect, because we need to share with the world what we are facing and how we are doing our everyday lives, because you needed to get, I don't know, if you have a big house or if you have a small house, you need to go and grab a bucket and place it in by your toilet. And it was so hard. Like, you were used to go open your faucet and wash the dishes, but in the certain time of the day you couldn't do that. So we wanted to share the world that if you have one bottle of water and this amount of water remains, you need to go and give it to the plant, because all plants were like really dry, right? So we make the student exchange with a school in New York, and they were totally the opposite of us. They were rivers, rain, and they were even making artificial snow for their everyday fun. And we were like, okay, I'm thirsty around. So they were like helping this community in Honduras with Pure Water for the World. Like they were getting funds for buying some more water filters for those communities. And they were doing that project. So they wanted to share that project with other schools around the world. So we were the ones that connected them also, and tell them that we were going to have a water project as this, to share out what we were facing and how we were recycling water. So during 3 sessions, the students met each other and shared their stories. And at the last session, okay, the US school got the funds. They buy, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 water filters, because they are kind of expensive. They gathered the money to do so. And the school right here in Mexico, they developed different things to share with the communities. So they did a play, and they showed it to the whole school community and to many people around their community about how to save water in everyday lives. The
Nice.
second one was they did like this artifact made of recycled materials, plastic, and it was powered by solar filters and solar batteries. And this kind of artifact, you place it in rivers and small ponds, and it just start grabbing all the trash and all the garbage that was around there. So you can have all these bottle taps or small trash that was not good for that pond of water. So they gather up. And the other one was in the places where they wash their hands, they established like kind of a hose where that water was will get to some containers, and those containers were going to be used for, I don't know, watering plants or cleaning up classrooms, I don't know, something else. So it was totally powerful to know that students came up with those ideas. The teachers didn't tell them what to do, right? And that's what you were talking about. Like, students are going to teach us how to take care of nature. But if we just only listen and be open to be learning with them side by side, it was totally awesome. And because it wasn't the purpose of the student exchange, because the students right here in Monterey wanted to learn more English, and the students in New York, they wanted to learn more Spanish. So it was a win-win-win situation, and it was totally powerful. Really, really a great experience.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That sounds amazing. I love that. And it's so true what you've said about, there's a classic Einstein quote which says, you can't fix a problem with the same thinking that caused it. So of course we need our young people that will be thinking creatively in completely different ways, because they are not bound by the systems and mechanisms that we've all been bound by through our lives. So that's absolutely brilliant. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you.
Just
Thank you.
superb.
And I have to just add, it's a universal theme, right? It doesn't matter how young or old you are, what language or languages you speak. I mean, to see those two classrooms where Henny was just
Wow.
saying, the students in New York were, practicing their Spanish, and the students in Mexico, practicing their English, but they were connected for a common cause. And
I love
here's
that.
our Inamia saying it's a wonderful example of cultural collaboration. Amen to that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well,
Wow.
I know that I wanted to bring you back to My Green Pod. I
Yep.
saw this summer that it must have come through like for email, because I am on your newsletter, but I saw I don't know if it's called the Nature Backpack, but whatever it is, it's to me like a nature backpack. And it brought me back in time, because when my son was just a toddler, we kind of put all these fun things. We had our like nature backpack, and it was like we would drop everything, and in the backpack were notebooks and magnifying lenses and different colored pencils and a compass and binoculars, and we would just go on these nature walks, and it was like bringing back curiosity, wonder, and awe, right?
Yeah.
And when I saw that item for My Green Pod, I want you to know, as a classroom teacher, that is the first thing that I would want in my classroom, so that we could, no matter
So
what age I taught, but yes.
I happen
So
to have this nature. So just to be clear, My Green Pod is an ethical shopping platform, if you like, a non-toxic version of Amazon, that we only sell curated, hand-picked products that are better for people and planet. Nothing is perfect. The perfection is not to have to buy anything at all. But if you do need to buy stuff, or you need some stuff, then buy the best that you possibly can. So this is a brand that we work with. We sell a few of our own products, but mainly we sell other curated products. So this is Nature Nurture Kids, which is the brand, right? So this is the backpack. And inside this backpack, I'm gonna show you. So this is my favorite little gadget for my 6-year-old. This is a litter picker, right? So obviously nature nowadays, you have to go and clean it up and do beach cleans and river cleans and everything else. So that's very good for pinching people's noses if they've been upsetting. So that's number one. So as you can see here, my desk, if you could see it, is an absolute mess. So there, I've just picked up this piece of paper very easily. So that's, and then once you've picked up the litter, then the ideal thing is to obviously offer some restoration, to give back to the earth. So what have we got? We've got some. Oh, I've just disappeared off the screen again. We've
We can
got
see you.
Yeah.
good. We've got. I hit the keyboard with this wonderful bag. Is a seed bomb kit. Oh, where are we? So a wildflower mix. Now, of course, why do we want flowers? Because flowers are creating pollen for the pollinators to create more food. So the birds and the bees and the butterflies and the insects all need pollen. And then, as you said, we've definitely got the clipboard for being able to take some information, for making notes, facts on how to help nature, which is amazing. So that's good. And then there's lots of other bits and bobs as well. There's what is this? I don't even know what this is. Ah, some gardening gloves.
Oh, okay.
Fabulous. So if you need to get some nettles because you've run out of spinach at home and you want to get some nettles that you can cook and eat and forage, so that's perfect. And then there's also a yellow vest that you can put on if you're out litter picking on the road and things like that. So that is the nature pack. There's various different versions of it, and of course, if anybody wants to get one, you can. And we could even give you a discount code, Marilise, if we wanted to. If school teachers did want to get them potentially for the school, we can offer you a discount if that would be helpful.
Oh, I think that would be fantastic. And, we have partnered with an organization out of France called Elementary, and it's elementary. The Y at the end is an I, and
Yep.
they are a storytelling coding tool and platform. And there is this really great art project that we are going to announce during the month of October, and it's about how do you use technology for good. So it's going to be a drawing contest, and it would be really great to have opportunities. And I already feel like from the DCI, if we purchased some of these packs and they were giveaways,
That's
as
a great idea.
right,
Yeah.
as a way to thank our young people for making a significant difference. And the great thing about that art project, it's going to be a contest, and the winners are going to then be the images that you're going to be able to use. Anyone will be able to use
Yeah.
on Elementary as they are continue to tell stories through coding. So
Wow.
we'll definitely make that. And I know that Julie had just said, I think every class needs that nature backpack. Her
Totally.
first graders in Canada would love it. Absolutely.
Well, look, I would personally be very happy to donate some bags, just as a way of saying thank you. So consider that to happen. And then if we can create, depending on how many you need, we'll just have to work out and we can get a very good price for you. So yeah, let's do that. It'd be lovely for some of the young people to win those as prizes. What a great idea.
Oh, well, this has just been absolutely wonderful to be able to generate some excitement about having classrooms. What we're doing in October is every single day, there's going to be a social media, what we're calling a social media takeover. Julie is one of our classrooms. Namya is doing it as well. She's actually doing it on her own, not as a classroom, which I love. So
Wow.
a young person saying, can I be involved? And so a social media takeover is happening around the world each day to show what does DigSit SDGs like in your community. And so
Yeah.
every single day in October, we'll be able to model that. And then each social media takeover is going to have a challenge. And that challenge is that call to action. So we are looking at the month of
Can I add something to a
Yes.
date? So I've got
Yes.
something. Well, okay, so check this out. So some of the people listening will know of a band. There's a band called Swedish House Mafia, who are a huge dance act. They've been around about 10 years ago. They made a song called "Save the World," and the lyrics are just absolutely brilliant. So with Greta Thunberg and Fridays for Future's Mapper, as you know, I'm a signed recording artist as well for the Phoenix Rose. We remade the song in a very current Afrobeat type style. So really kind of like really catchy and dancey and poppy. It's called Save the World by Jarvis Smith, featuring Rita Mora, a beautiful Indian singer who sings with me on it. And we made the song, and we have committed to donating every single stream or play or download 100% of the money that we earn will be donated to the most affected people and areas. Use Fridays for Futures to pay for them to have internet access and Wi-Fi. So if we get 1 million plays, then 20 or 30 of them will get internet for a year. If we get 100 million plays, then 300 of them will get internet. Okay, so all people have to do is play the song on repeat 10 times during that day, and every day if possible. And
Okay.
the more we rack up, the more we can donate. So we're actually taking money from iTunes and Apple and Spotify and Amazon and Deezer and all of these playlists. They have to pay the artist a royalty every time the song is played. So it will
Mhm.
cost your young people and the parents and the teachers and everybody in the classroom nothing. All they have to do is play the song on YouTube, which is free, or Spotify, which some people are members of, or iTunes, which again, some people are members of, but on YouTube. So it's called Save the World by Jarvis Smith. And you just need to Google that. It launches officially on the 16th of September, but we are going to be raising money for 6 months up until the new year to try and pay for these young people to have, just to give them a voice.
Right.
They don't even have the opportunity to tell the world how bad it is because they haven't got internet and the things that we take for granted. So that's my big campaign that's launching very, very soon, just around the corner. So could we include that as one of
Oh,
your calls to action?
Sure, sure. We need to make it a hit.
absolutely. So I want to make sure that we have this correct. The song is called Save the World.
Save the world.
And if anybody was to Google Jarvis Smith Save the World
It will
by
come up.
September the 16th.
Yeah, it's out there now. The video launches on September the 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, so the song is available to play now, so anybody can stream it. On these platforms, they limit your amount of repeat play by 10. You can only play it 10 times a day. But of course, if 100 people play it 10 times a day for 10 days, you've suddenly got 1,000 plays. So it's yeah.
Oh,
Actually, 10,000. My apologies. So
that is so exciting, and I love the fact that it's like that's a two-way street, and it's wonderful, and it's kind of like, and I'd like to go back to My Green Pod. When there's purchases made, what does My Green Pod do?
So we have committed in exactly the same way that I said yesterday. When we take earlier, when we take, when we buy something, we're taking something from nature. So what we do is every time you shop with us, we give back to nature. So we have created a tree planting program with Tree Sisters, which is a women's empowerment movement. They've planted 20 million trees over the last 5 or 6 years, and we contribute to that. So every time you buy from us, we pay them to plant a tree through their volunteer program. So we give back to nature on your behalf when you shop with us. Now, if Amazon did that, just saying, we would not be in the critical time that we're in when it comes to temperatures rising, because they would have put more trees back into the earth that would mitigate the carbon emissions issue that we have today. So just think about that. One company could have fixed the problem single-handedly if they'd adopted the model that we are. So we want to be the next Amazon. We want to be the next purchasing environment, because we are giving back to nature more than any other environment out there if people shop through us. Thank you.
Oh, and this is such a lovely comment from Julie. Wanted to make sure that you didn't miss it.
Can I read it out? Thank you so much, Jarvis. All kinds of ideas are swirling around in my head about bringing nature back into school. Yes! And letting students take the lead. I'm feeling inspired after the session. Julie, please connect with me, because we can have a decent chat and talk about, and just I can share some of the ideas that have worked and we know are really very impactful. So I look forward to connecting.
In fact, Jarvis, I have to make this connection. I've been on a classroom call with you and Mary Jalen and her elephant, Ellie the elephant. And I know that Ellie got to travel with you, but guess where Ellie is right now? In Julie's classroom.
The same Ellie. Wow.
The same Ellie. So
Oh,
you want to share with Julie, where did Ellie go and travel with you?
So firstly, Julie, please give Ellie a big kiss for me, because I do miss her. She sat on my desk for a long time and I was really struggling to send her back, but I had to in the end. So Ellie, well, gosh, Ellie came into a few things with me. I was invited to do a TED Talk before COP27 in Glasgow. So Ellie came and sat on the stage with me at my TED Talk. And then I took her to COP26, and she met some of the world leaders. So Ellie spoke to Cristina Figueres, who is the person that actually introduced or negotiated the climate Paris Agreement. She sat on various showcase environments at COP26 in Glasgow. And if I remember rightly, we delivered a letter written by the classroom to the world leaders, their message to them. So that's what Ellie and I were able to achieve, just the two of us. So pretty cool, huh?
How important is to bring this conversation to children? I don't know, maybe the future of big companies, like a kid right now, and having this, growing with this mindset that he needs to grow on a company and make a company that needs to go back to nature. It will be a total difference,
Yeah.
right?
So I believe in 10 years' time, when it's going to be, we're going to be our most critical point, actually less than that, say 2030, I do believe that everybody on the planet will have to buy into a system that is restorative. So
Right.
we call it restorative retail rather than consumerism, which the word consume means to take everything until it's gone. That's no good, is it?
No, not at all.
So we are forced with an advertising system, current system, that is actually the detriment to our health, lifestyle, and longevity. So we just need to change our purpose and become value-driven individuals, and yes, hopefully business people. But even how we spend our money, every time we spend $1 or £1 or €1 or a rupee, that's a decision that we're making. Where are we spending it? What's the impact?
And I love it. Namia has added that she's going to share with her STEM and podcast club at school as well.
Brilliant, Namia. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, this has been such a delightful way
It has.
to spend the morning, well, the morning on our end, with you. And I really appreciate the focus about, that classroom, that school edition, and the focus was back on students and our young people, and to bring along the grown-ups on this learning journey that we all need to be doing together.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that My Green Pod will be one of our challenges, our calls to action during our DigCit SDG month. And we're really looking forward to continuing to get classrooms and school communities around the world. And again, it doesn't just have to be what happens in the classroom. This is, what happens at home, what happens at play, what happens at work. It's that intergenerational approach. So,
Yeah.
Jarvis, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. May I end with one last bit of information that would be really useful?
Sure.
So thank you, first of all. It's been an absolute pleasure. One thing I'd love to share is, and this is proven, one of the biggest impacts on business leaders in the world today, in them changing and making decisions that are creating business to become a solution rather than a problem to what we now know as the climate crisis, is the young people in their families going and telling them, daddy, uncle, granddad, mummy, nanny, why are you doing this? Because this is the impact it's having on our planet. And did you know that's the biggest cause of change for business leaders, for them to change and make different decisions? The owner, the CEO of Walmart, talked about his niece coming in and questioning him about the damage he was doing through the planet in the way that they sold their products. And that's what made him pivot and change that whole business model to a more sustainable company. So it's you young people that are leading the way and driving us as old business leaders that are a little bit stuck in the mud to change. So thank you. We really appreciate your truth and transparency and creativity and honesty. And we hope that we can do and serve you in the best way that we can as a tribe.
And I love it. Namia has added her hashtag that each one teach 10 with my
Each
green
one teach
pod.
10. I wondered whether it was the number 10 or written 10. So I've got that
Yes.
written
Yep.
down
Yes.
here. Got
And
it.
she also sends this thank you.
Yeah, thank you too. Thank you too. And to everybody else that listens post this live broadcast.
And for the people that after the fact, you know, because of time zones might not have been able to join us.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to put it out on and it'll just hopefully go to wherever it needs to go.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, again, I have a really full heart anytime that I have an opportunity to be in the same place at the same time with you, Jarvis.
Likewise, the feelings are completely mutual. Much love to you both.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much. What a
Terrific.
great way
And
to start
we'll
our day.
Yeah, and we'll be in touch. I mean, from now until October, as we really continue to get to promote your message, but also to get like what a wonderful way about your song
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
September 16th. You can count us in as partners on
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Well, let me know how we can reciprocate and get some of your messages out to our, slightly older audience.
Wonderful. Well, it really does. It takes that village, and
Yeah.
we're happy to be part of the village with you.
Yay.
And Julie and Namia, thank you so much for joining
you.
us live. You added
Yes.
such value
Yes, you
to
did.
this
Thank you.
conversation today.
Great engagement.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.